Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon and watched the empty space ahead. Her ship had been traveling for 3 weeks through the outer edges of the Kepler sector. This was supposed to be a simple survey mission. Check for planets that might support life. Look for mineral deposits. Map safe travel routes for future ships. Nothing exciting ever happened out here. Dr. Amy Foster walked up to Lisa with a confused look on her face. Amy was the ship's expert on old alien things. She studied dead civilizations and ancient technology. Right now, she was staring at her tablet like it had grown legs and started dancing. "Captain, you need to see this," Amy said. Her voice sounded strange. "The sensors are picking up something weird about 50,000 kilometers ahead." Lisa looked at the main screen. It showed nothing but stars and black space. "I don't see anything." "That's just it. There's nothing there to see." "But the energy readings are off the charts. It's like there's a whole city floating in space, but our eyes can't see it." Commander Jake Williams turned from his station. He was Lisa's second in command and usually stayed calm about everything. Today he looked worried. "Captain, I'm getting the same readings on my instruments. Whatever it is, it's big. Really big." Lisa had been exploring space for 15 years. She had seen strange things before, gas clouds that sang, planets made of crystal, even a few dead alien ships. But she had never seen energy readings from empty space. "Take us closer," she ordered, "but keep the shields up." The horizon moved forward slowly. As they got closer, the energy readings got stronger. Maya Rodriguez, the chief engineer, called from the engine room. Her voice came through the speakers, sounding excited and scared at the same time. "Captain, whatever's out there is putting out more power than our whole ship. And it's not just one source. I'm reading dozens of separate power signatures." Zara Moonwhisper stood near the back of the bridge. She was an elf from the Elven Dominion. Her people had joined with humans to explore space together. Zara was tall and thin with long silver hair and pointed ears. She was very good at understanding old technologies. "Captain," Zara said in her soft voice, "my people have legends about things like this. Ships that could hide themselves from sight. Technology that our ancestors once knew but forgot." Lisa turned to look at her. "What kind of legends?" "Stories of a great alliance. Many different people working together. They built ships that could travel between stars faster than light. Ships that could hide in plain sight. The stories say they had technology that seemed like magic." Amy was still staring at her tablet. "Captain, I'm getting readings from the probe we sent ahead. You're going to want to see this." The main screen changed to show what the probe was sending back. At first it looked like more empty space. Then, Amy adjusted the settings and everything changed. Hundreds of ships appeared on the screen. They were huge. Some were long and sleek like needles. Others were round like spheres. A few looked like they had been grown instead of built. They all floated in perfect formation like they were waiting for something. "How many ships are there?" Lisa asked. Jake was counting on his instruments. "At least 300, maybe more. And, Captain, some of these ships are bigger than our space stations." Lisa felt her heart beating faster. This was the biggest discovery in human history. "Any signs of life?" "Nothing," Amy said. "No heat signatures, no radio signals. But the ships are definitely powered. They're just sleeping." Maya's voice came through the speakers again. "Captain, I'm reading some kind of field around the whole fleet. It looks like a stasis field, something designed to keep things exactly the same for a very long time." Lisa made her decision. "Prepare a shuttle. Amy, you're with me. Zara, I want you there too. Jake, you have the ship." "Captain," Jake said, "are you sure that's safe?" "Probably not. But we didn't come out here to play it safe. We came to explore." An hour later, Lisa was piloting a small shuttle toward the nearest ship. Amy sat beside her running scans. Zara was in the back seat looking at something on her own device. "The ship we're approaching appears to be a command vessel," Amy said. "It's got docking ports that look like they were made for shuttles our size." "That's convenient," Lisa said. "Too convenient," Amy replied. "It's like they were expecting visitors." As they got closer to the alien ship, something amazing happened. Lights began to turn on along its hull. Slowly at first, then faster. The light spread from ship to ship across the entire fleet like a wave. "They know we're here," Zara said quietly. Lisa's radio crackled. It was Jake from the horizon. Captain, all the ships in the fleet just powered up. Energy readings are climbing fast. Any weapons locking onto us? Lisa asked. No weapons detected, but Captain, they're broadcasting something. Audio and visual signals on multiple frequencies. Lisa's shuttle radio began to play sounds. At first it was just noise. Then it became clearer. Voices speaking in different languages. Some sounded human. Others were completely alien. But as Lisa listened, she began to understand some of the words. Welcome, the voices said. The inheritors have arrived. The legacy awaits. Amy was staring at her instruments with wide eyes. Captain, that message is being broadcast in over 50 different languages, including some that match old human dialects and ancient Elven. How is that possible? Lisa asked. Zara leaned forward between their seats. The legends speak of a time when all the speaking peoples knew each other's languages, when the barriers between different worlds were broken down. The alien ship's docking port opened as they approached. Lisa felt like she was being invited. Inside by an old friend, she guided the shuttle into the docking bay and felt the ship's artificial gravity take hold. Well, she said as the engines shut down, let's go meet our hosts. As they put on their environmental suits and prepared to explore the ancient ship, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that this moment would change everything, not just for her crew, but for all the peoples of the galaxy. The sleeping fleet was waking up, and it had been waiting for them to arrive. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, and Lisa stepped into the alien ship. The corridor ahead was well lit, and the air was breathable. Her suit's sensors showed normal atmosphere. Everything was clean and looked like it had been maintained yesterday, instead of sitting empty for thousands of years. This doesn't make sense, Amy said as she followed Lisa inside. According to my readings, this ship has been here for at least 10,000 years, but everything looks brand new. Zara moved past them both and touched the wall with her gloved hand. The preservation technology is beyond anything our peoples currently possess. This is what the legends described. Technology that could keep things perfect forever. The corridor led to a large chamber filled with strange devices. Screens covered the walls showing star maps and symbols that seemed to shift and change. In the center of the room stood something that looked like a crystal tree made of light. As they approached the crystal tree, it began to glow brighter. A voice spoke from everywhere at once. It sounded like many different people speaking together in perfect harmony. Welcome, children of the stars. We are the Harmony. We have waited long for your return. Lisa looked around the room, but saw no one else. Who are you? Where are you? We are the minds of those who came before, preserved in crystal and light so that knowledge would not be lost. We are the memory of the stellar concord. Amy was recording everything with her equipment. What is the stellar concord? The screens around the room changed to show images of different worlds and peoples. Humans and elves were there, but also creatures Lisa had never seen before. Some looked like they were made of gas and light. Others appeared to be living rocks that could think and move. Long ago, many peoples worked together, the Harmony explained. We built ships that could cross the galaxy in days. We shared knowledge and culture. We were stronger together than any of us could be alone. What happened to this alliance? Zara asked. The images on the screens became darker. They showed ships fighting each other and worlds burning. Fear and misunderstanding grew between the peoples. Some believed their way was the only correct way. Wars began. The alliance broke apart, and the peoples scattered across the stars. Lisa felt sad looking at the images. Why are you telling us this? Because the great threat still exists. The reason the Stellar Concord was first formed never went away. The Void Devourers are returning. New images appeared on the screens. They showed things that hurt to look at. Dark shapes that seemed to eat light itself. Entire star systems going dark as these creatures passed through them. What are the Void Devourers? Amy asked. Entities from the empty spaces between galaxies. They consume everything they touch. Planets, stars, entire civilizations. They have been traveling through the darkness for millions of years, and now they are almost here. Jake's voice came through Lisa's radio. Captain, we're picking up ships approaching from multiple directions. Looks like human and elven fleets. Lisa activated her communicator. How many ships, Jake? 12 human vessels so far, including some military ships. The Elven fleet has 8 ships, and Captain, there are others, ships from species I don't recognize. The Harmony spoke again. Word of our awakening has spread quickly. The ancient signals we broadcast can be heard across great distances. Other peoples are coming to investigate. What do you want from us? Lisa asked. To finish what was started long ago. These ships contain the technology and knowledge needed to face the Void Devourers. But the technology only works when different peoples cooperate. It requires trust and understanding between species. Dr. Kelly Brooks arrived on the next shuttle, from the Horizon. She was an expert in artificial intelligence and ancient languages. With her came Lieutenant Sophie Davis, who specialized in communications. They brought news that more ships were arriving every hour. Captain, Kelly said as she studied the crystal tree, this Harmony entity appears to be a collective consciousness. Multiple minds working as one. The technology involved is centuries, ahead of anything we have. Admiral Tavara Shadowbane arrived with the Elven fleet. She was tall even for an elf, with dark hair and eyes that seemed to see everything. She brought her own experts, including technical specialists and historians. The ancient texts speak of this place, Tavara told Lisa as they met in the alien ship's conference room. My people have been searching for the lost fleet for generations. Your people knew about this? Lisa asked. We knew the stories. We believed they were just myths until today. More alien ships arrived throughout the day. A crystalline vessel brought Nira Veltar from the Helix Confederation. Her people looked like walking jewels that could think and speak. A ship made of what appeared to be living metal brought representatives from the Nebula Collective. Each new species that arrived caused more of the ancient fleet to wake up. More lights turned on, more systems came online. The Harmony grew stronger and clearer as more different minds were present. The fleet responds to diversity, Kelly explained after spending hours studying the ship's systems. The more different species work together, the more advanced technology becomes available. Tavara and Lisa worked together to establish a temporary base on the largest of the ancient ships. It was like a floating city with areas designed for different types of beings. There were sections with thick atmosphere for gas-based life forms and areas with low gravity for delicate species. This ship was designed to house many different peoples, Zara observed as she explored with a mixed group of humans, elves, and aliens. They planned for everyone to live and work together. The most amazing discovery came when teams of mixed species tried to operate the ship's systems together. Controls that did nothing when touched by a single person would spring to life when beings from different worlds worked on them simultaneously. It's not just cooperation, Amy realized after watching a human-elf-alien team successfully activate a powerful scanner. The technology actually requires different types of minds working together. Each species contributes something unique. Nira Veltar's crystalline form sparkled as she communicated through musical tones that the ship's computers translated. My people's computational abilities, combined with human creativity and elven intuition, can access systems none of us could operate alone. As the days passed, more species arrived and more of the fleet awakened. The Harmony shared knowledge freely with anyone willing to learn. They showed star maps of safe routes through space. They demonstrated medical technology that could heal injuries in minutes. They revealed agricultural systems that could feed entire worlds. But with each new revelation came warnings about the approaching threat. Long-range sensors on the ancient ships detected disturbances in distant space. Dark areas where stars had gone silent. The Void Devourers are still far away. The Harmony explained to the growing council of species representatives. But they are coming. Our sensors can detect their approach across thousands of light years. Lisa found herself working closely with beings she could never have imagined meeting. Tavara became a trusted friend despite the differences between humans and elves. Nira's crystal-based thinking provided insights that surprised everyone. Even the gas beings from the Nebula Collective contributed unique perspectives that helped solve complex problems. This is what the Stellar Concord was meant to be, Tavara said as she and Lisa watched mixed crews exploring the ancient ships. Not just an alliance of convenience, but a true joining of peoples. The Harmony's voice carried hope and urgency as it spoke to the assembled representatives. You are the inheritors of this legacy. The technology exists to face the coming darkness. but only if you can work together as your ancestors once did. Lisa looked around at the diverse group of beings gathered in the ancient conference room. Humans, elves, crystalline entities, gas beings, and others she was still learning about. A few weeks ago, most of these species had never even met each other. Now they were working together to understand technology beyond their wildest dreams. "What do we need to do?" she asked the Harmony. "Learn to trust each other completely. The most powerful systems in this fleet require perfect cooperation between different types of minds. Your ancestors achieved this once. You must achieve it again, or all will be consumed by the darkness." 3 weeks had passed since the first ships arrived at the ancient fleet. The temporary base had grown into a bustling community with representatives from 12 different species. Lisa watched from the observation deck as mixed crews moved between ships, learning to operate technology that seemed impossible. Captain Beth Turner had arrived with additional human military vessels. She was a serious woman who asked hard questions about security and defense. Beth didn't trust easily, but she was beginning to see the value of working with other species. "The learning curve is steep," Beth told Lisa as they watched a human elf team successfully activate a navigation system. "But the results speak for themselves. Our people are accomplishing things they never could have done alone." Kalen Starweaver, an elven technical specialist, had become one of the most valuable team members. His ability to understand both technology and magic made him perfect for working with the ancient systems. He often partnered with Dr. Rachel Moore, a human xenobiologist who studied how different species could work together effectively. "The ships are teaching us as much as the Harmony," Kalen explained to a mixed group of trainees. "Each system we activate reveals new possibilities, but only when we approach them with minds truly open to each other's perspectives." Vex Quantum Singer represented the gaseous beings from the Nebula Collective. Vex existed as a cloud of intelligent particles that could shape itself into different forms. Working with Vex required learning to think in ways that solid beings found difficult, but the results were worth the effort. The real breakthrough came when teams began living together on the ancient ships. The vessels had living quarters designed for mixed crews. Humans, elves, and aliens shared meals, recreational time, and even sleeping areas adapted for their different needs. Lisa found herself bunking next to Nira Veltar, the crystalline being who communicated through musical harmonics. At first, the constant soft chiming that was Nira's equivalent of breathing kept Lisa awake. After a few days, she found the sounds soothing and had trouble sleeping without them. "Trust is growing," Tavara observed during one of their daily briefings. "When people share living space, they begin to understand each other at a deeper level." The Harmony had been teaching them about the original stellar concord. The ancient alliance hadn't just been a military partnership. It had been a complete integration of civilizations. Species had intermarried, shared technologies, and even developed hybrid cultures that combined the best aspects of multiple worlds. "Your ancestors didn't just work together," the Harmony explained. "They became something new, something greater than the sum of their parts." Dr. Kelly Brooks made an important discovery while studying the ship's memory banks. The ancient crews weren't just cooperating. They were forming mental links with each other and with the ship's systems. The technology allows for a kind of shared consciousness. This revelation changed everything. The most advanced ships in the fleet required crews that could think together as one mind, while still maintaining their individual perspectives. It was a level of trust and cooperation that seemed almost impossible. "We need volunteers," Lisa announced to the assembled representatives. "People willing to attempt the consciousness-linking process." The response surprised her. Representatives from every species stepped forward. Even beings who had been cautious about the whole project were eager to try the mental linking technology. The first successful link involved Lisa, Tavara, Nira, and Vex working together to activate a powerful sensor array. As their minds connected, Lisa could suddenly understand Nira's crystal-based thoughts and feel Vex's fluid consciousness. Tavara's elven intuition combined with Lisa's human logic to create insights none of them could have achieved alone. "It's not losing yourself," Tavara explained after the link ended. "It's becoming more than yourself." The sensor array they had activated revealed disturbing news. The long-range scanners could now detect the Void Devourers clearly. They were still far away, but moving faster than expected. More importantly, they had scouts ahead of their main force. "The scouts will arrive within days," the Harmony warned. "They search for inhabited systems to report back to the main force. If they find us here, the entire swarm will come." Captain Turner took charge of defensive preparations. "We need to test these new systems in combat. Better to face scouts than the main force." Mixed crews worked frantically to bring more ships online. The ancient vessels had weapons systems that required multiple species to operate. Energy weapons that channeled power through crystalline beings like Nera. Shield systems that used gaseous entities like Vex as living components. Tactical systems that combined human strategy with elven intuition. "The ships become more powerful with each species that joins the crew," Kalen reported from the main weapons system. "But only if the crew members truly trust each other." The scouts arrived without warning. 3 dark shapes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved through space like hungry predators, scanning everything in their path. "All ships, this is Admiral Martinez," Lisa announced over the fleet-wide communication system. She had been promoted to Admiral by unanimous agreement of all species present. "Today we test everything we've learned." The battle began unlike anything anyone had ever seen. The ancient ships moved with impossible grace, their mixed crews thinking and acting as one. Energy weapons fired in perfect coordination. Shields shared power across multiple vessels. Even the movement of the ships seemed choreographed. Lisa found herself linked not just with her immediate crew, but with the crews of other ships. She could feel Tavara's tactical insights from another vessel. Nera's crystalline calculations helped. Coordinate shields across the entire fleet. Vex's fluid thinking allowed for defensive maneuvers that solid minds couldn't conceive. The Void Devourer scouts were powerful and dangerous. Their dark energy weapons could drain power from conventional ships. Their ability to phase in and out of normal space made them difficult targets. But they had never faced anything like the integrated crews of the ancient fleet. "They don't understand cooperation," Amy observed from her science station. "They're individual hunters. They can't comprehend how we're coordinating our attacks." The first scout fell to a combined energy burst from 6 ships firing simultaneously. The second was caught in a shield trap created by 3 different types of defense systems working together. The third tried to escape, but found itself surrounded by ships that could predict its movements through shared consciousness. "Victory," announced the Harmony as the last scout was destroyed. "But this was only the beginning. The main force will know of your presence now." The fleet celebrated their success, but soberly. They had proven that the ancient technology could work. Mixed crews could operate systems beyond anything their individual species possessed. Consciousness linking allowed for coordination that seemed almost telepathic. "We did it," Lisa told the assembled crews. "We actually did it." "Yes," Tavara agreed. "But now comes the real test. Word of our success will spread. Some will want to join us, others will try to stop us." Nera's musical communication translated to words of caution. "The scouts will have transmitted our location before they died. The main Void Devourer force will come here." Vex's gaseous form shimmered with concern. "Our success may have doomed us all." The Harmony's voice carried both pride and warning. "You have taken the first step toward recreating the stellar concord, but the path ahead will test everything you have learned. The Void Devourers are not your only challenge." Dr. Moore's analysis of the battle data revealed something troubling. "The consciousness linking is addictive. Some of our volunteers are having trouble maintaining their individual identities. They want to stay linked permanently." Lisa realized they were facing a new kind of challenge. The technology that made them powerful also threatened to change them in fundamental ways. Some crew members were becoming something new, something that might not be entirely human or elven or alien anymore. "We're evolving," she told Tavara during their private meeting that evening. "The question is whether we're evolving into something better or something completely different." "Perhaps," Tavara replied, "that is exactly what the galaxy needs. Something new that can face challenges the old ways of thinking cannot handle." As Lisa looked out at the ancient fleet, now fully awakened and powered by crews that represented a dozen different species. She knew their real journey was just beginning. They had proven they could fight together. Now they had to decide what they were willing to become together. News of the victory against the Void Devourer scouts spread across known space faster than anyone expected. Within a week, Admiral Grace Patterson arrived with the largest human fleet ever assembled. She was followed by Alara Dawnbringer, the highest counselor of the Elven Dominion, bringing ships from every major Elven world. More surprising were the species that came from regions of space previously unknown to humans and elves. Chorus of Ones represented the ethereal assembly, beings of pure energy who existed in the spaces between stars. They arrived in ships that looked like crystallized music, beautiful and impossible. The ancient signals have awakened memories. "We thought lost forever," Chorus of Winds communicated through harmonics that the ship's systems translated. "Our ancestors were part of the original stellar concord. We remember the old songs of unity." Dr. Megan Clark joined the research teams, studying the consciousness transfer technology. She was brilliant and fearless, volunteering for the most dangerous experiments with mental linking. Her work revealed that the ancient technology could do more than just connect minds temporarily. "The ships aren't just vessels," Megan explained, to the growing Council of Species representatives. "They're living entities that grow stronger through permanent mental bonds with their crews. Some of the ancient consciousness patterns stored in the memory banks are still active." Lisa found herself changed by weeks of regular consciousness linking. She could sense the emotions and thoughts of her regular crew partners even when not actively connected. Tavara had become like a sister to her, their minds so attuned that they often finished each other's sentences. Neera's crystalline logic had become part of how Lisa approached problems. "We're becoming something new," she told Admiral Patterson during a private briefing. "Not just working together, but truly thinking together." Patterson was skeptical. "That sounds dangerous. What happens to human identity, to human independence?" "We don't lose our humanity," Lisa replied. "We expand it." The real challenge came when representatives from the various species tried to establish formal agreements. The Human Colonial Union wanted guarantees about sovereignty and territorial rights. The Elven Dominion insisted on cultural protections and spiritual considerations. The newer alien species had their own requirements and concerns. "This is exactly what destroyed the original stellar concord," the Harmony warned during one particularly difficult negotiation session. "Fear and mistrust overcome the benefits of cooperation." Ilara Dawnbringer was wise and patient, but even she struggled with the complexity of the negotiations. "How do we write laws and agreements for something that has never existed before? We are trying to create a civilization that spans species." The breakthrough came when they discovered the mobile habitats hidden within the largest ancient ships. These weren't just vessels, but entire worlds designed to house multiple species permanently. Each habitat could support different atmospheric conditions, gravity levels, and environmental needs in the same space. The original Conquer didn't just have military ships, Amy realized as she explored one of the massive habitats. They had mobile cities where different species lived together permanently. The habitats revealed the true vision of the ancient alliance. Children growing up knowing multiple species as family. Scientists from different worlds working together from birth. Artists creating beauty that no single species could imagine alone. Lisa walked through one of the habitats with Tavara and their mixed crew. They passed schools where human children learned alongside young elves and alien offspring. They saw workshops where different species created technology that blended science and art in impossible ways. "This is what we're really building," Tavara said as they watched a group of mixed-species children playing a game that involved both physical movement and telepathic coordination. Not just an alliance, but a new kind of civilization. The consciousness-linking technology continued to evolve. Dr. Clark discovered that willing participants could share more than just thoughts. They could share skills, memories, and even personality traits. A human engineer could temporarily gain an elf's intuitive understanding of energy flows. An alien mathematician could share crystalline precision with organic minds. "We're not losing our individuality," Megan explained to concerns raised by various governments. "We're learning to temporarily become more than our individual limitations allow." But some people couldn't accept the changes. Captain Turner left with several human ships, claiming the consciousness linking was too dangerous. A faction of elves led by a conservative counselor departed, arguing that their people were losing their spiritual purity. Not everyone will be ready for this, Ilara said sadly as she watched the departing ships. Change is always frightening, especially change this fundamental. The ancient fleet continued to reveal new capabilities as more species joined and trust. Levels deepened. Ships that had seemed inert suddenly came online when crews achieved perfect mental harmony. Weapons systems activated that required not just cooperation, but genuine love and understanding between different types of beings. The technology responds to emotion as much as thought, Kalen discovered, while working with a particularly complex shield generator. It requires not just cooperation, but real affection between crew members. This discovery changed recruitment and training procedures. Teams that worked well together professionally might not be able to access the most advanced systems if they didn't genuinely care about each other. The technology was forcing them to form real relationships across species lines. Vex Quantum Singer had become one of the most effective team leaders, despite being a gaseous entity that most solid beings found difficult to understand. Vex's ability to think in fluid, non-linear ways made them perfect for coordinating complex operations. Solid minds think in straight lines, Vex explained through the translation systems. But reality flows in curves and spirals. The ancient technology understands this. The mobile habitats became laboratories for the new civilization they were creating. Each one developed its own culture that blended elements from all the species living there. New languages emerged that combined words, harmonics, and crystalline resonances. Art forms developed that could only be appreciated by minds that had experienced consciousness linking. Children born in the habitats were different from their parents. They moved easily between species-specific areas and mixed species zones. They learned multiple forms of communication naturally. Some seemed to have weak telepathic abilities, even without technological assistance. The next generation won't have the barriers we struggle with, Dr. Moore observed while studying the habitat children. They're growing up as true galactic citizens. The Harmony shared more history as trust levels increased. The original stellar concord had lasted for thousands of years before internal conflicts destroyed it. At its height, it had included hundreds of species and controlled most of the galaxy. The mobile habitats had been home to billions of beings living in harmony. What went wrong? Lisa asked during one of her regular sessions with the Harmony. Success bred complacency. The younger generations forgot why the Concord was necessary. They began to believe their own species was superior. Old prejudices returned. The Alliance fractured just when the Void Devourers arrived. Long-range sensors detected the main Void Devourer force approaching faster than expected. The scouts had definitely reported their location before being destroyed. The dark swarm was changing course directly toward the ancient fleet. We have perhaps 6 months before they arrive in force, the Harmony calculated. The entire swarm, millions of entities that have consumed hundreds of galaxies. Admiral Patterson returned with additional human fleets. Even Captain Turner came back, bringing ships from several species that had initially rejected the consciousness-linking technology. Word of the approaching threat had spread throughout known space. Maybe we can't all accept the mental linking, Turner told Lisa, but we can still fight together against a common enemy. The final preparations began as species put aside their differences to face extinction. The mobile habitats became command centers, coordinating defensive preparations across dozens of star systems. Mixed crews pushed the ancient technology to its limits, bringing online weapons and defense systems that had been dormant for millennia. This is our moment, Lisa announced to the assembled fleets. Not just to survive, but to prove that cooperation is stronger than conquest, that unity is more powerful than destruction. The ancient fleet was no longer just ships and habitats. It had become the heart of something new, a civilization that spanned species and worlds, a way of thinking that saw diversity as strength, rather than division. As the dark swarm approached, the reborn stellar concord prepared for the battle that would determine the fate of the galaxy. The Void Devourers arrived like a plague of darkness sweeping across the stars. Long-range sensors detected them first as areas where stars simply stopped shining. Then, as vast clouds of shadow moving faster than anything natural should be able to travel. Finally, as individual entities so alien and terrible that looking at them directly caused madness in unprotected minds, Lisa stood on the bridge of her flagship, no longer entirely human, but still recognizably herself. Months of consciousness linking had changed her in fundamental ways. She could feel the thoughts and emotions of her entire mixed-species crew as if they were her own. Tavara's tactical brilliance flowed through her mind. Nira's crystalline calculations provided perfect timing. Vex's fluid thinking allowed her to see patterns that linear thought could never grasp. "They're bigger than we expected," Admiral Patterson reported from her command ship. Even she had undergone limited consciousness, linking to coordinate with the fleet effectively. Millions of individual entities, some the size of small moons. The unified consciousness had formed over the past weeks as more crew members chose permanent mental linking with their ships and each other. It wasn't a loss of identity, but an expansion of it. Each person remained themselves while becoming part of something larger and more capable. Nova Starborn represented the newest generation, born in the mobile habitats and raised by multiple species. She was technically human-elf hybrid, but thought of herself simply as galactic. Nova could communicate directly with ship systems through thought alone and coordinate between species in ways that amazed even the ancient Harmony. The Void Devourers don't understand what they're facing, Nova observed as she linked her consciousness with the fleet's tactical networks. They've never encountered unified resistance before. Every galaxy they've consumed felt a division and fear. The Echo suddenly appeared without warning. It was an entity from the original Stellar Concord era, somehow preserved in the spaces between dimensions. Ancient beyond measure, but still filled with hope and determination. "I have waited eons for this moment," the Echo communicated through harmonics that touched every mind in the fleet simultaneously. "The children of the Concord have returned to finish what we began." The battle began not with weapons, but with song. Chorus of winds led a harmony that spread through every ship in the combined fleet. Humans, elves, crystalline beings, gas entities, and dozens of other species added their voices to create music that existed on multiple dimensional levels. The Void Devourers had never heard anything like it. For creatures that existed in silence and emptiness, the coordinated song of unified life was both beautiful and terrible. Some of the smaller entities actually fled from the harmony rather than face it. "Music is mathematics made audible," Dr. Clark observed as she monitored the effects. "And mathematics is the language of reality itself. We're not just fighting them. We're singing them out of existence." The real weapons came next. Energy beams that required perfect coordination between multiple ship types. Shield matrices that drew power from the emotional bonds between crew members. Tactical maneuvers that only worked when executed by minds thinking as one. Lisa found herself commanding not just her ship, but dozens of vessels simultaneously. Her consciousness expanded through the linked network until she could coordinate attacks across light years of space with split-second timing. It should have been impossible, but the ancient technology made the impossible routine. "They're adapting," Tavara warned as the Void Devourers began to counter their initial attacks. "They learn from each encounter." "So do we," Lisa replied. "But we learn together. They learn in isolation." The battle raged across multiple star systems as the vast Void Devourer swarm tried to overwhelm the defended positions. Mobile habitats became fortress command centers, while the ancient warships engaged in combat that defied the laws of physics. Vex Quantum Singer demonstrated the true potential of gas-based consciousness by dispersing across an entire battle zone and coordinating attacks from within the enemy formation. Nira's crystalline form channeled energy on scales that turned her into a living weapon. Even normally peaceful species found ways to contribute to the defense. "This is what the original Concord achieved," the Harmony explained as the battle reached its climax. "Not just military victory, but transcendence of individual limitations through unity." The turning point came when Nova Starborn made a discovery that changed everything. The Void Devourers weren't just consumers of matter and energy. They were creatures of pure entropy, existing to return the universe to primordial silence and darkness. But they had a weakness that unified life could exploit. They can't process harmony, Nova announced through the fleet network. Their entire existence is based on isolation and consumption. When faced with true cooperation, they literally cannot understand what they're seeing. The final assault was unlike anything in galactic history. Thousands of ships moving as one organism. Millions of minds thinking in perfect harmony. Energy weapons powered by love and trust between different species. The very concept of cooperation made manifest as a force of nature. Lisa led the charge. Her consciousness expanded to encompass the entire fleet. She was herself, and Tavara, and Nira, and Vex, and thousands of others all at once. Human creativity combined with elven intuition, crystalline logic, gaseous flexibility, and alien perspectives. No single species could imagine. The Void Devourer's command entity was a thing of pure darkness the size of a star. It had consumed entire galaxies and existed for billions of years, but it had never faced anything like the unified consciousness of the reborn stellar concord. "You cannot destroy us," it communicated through waves of despair and entropy. "We are inevitable. All things return to silence in the end." "Not today," Lisa replied through the voice of the entire fleet. "Today, harmony wins." The final attack wasn't destruction, but transformation. The unified consciousness reached out to touch the Void Devourers not with weapons, but with understanding. They showed the ancient entities what they had lost by choosing isolation over cooperation. They offered them a chance to become part of something greater than consumption and entropy. Some of the Void Devourers accepted the offer and were transformed into beings of light and music. Others fled back to the dark spaces between galaxies, unable to face the reality of unified existence. The command entity simply dissolved, its eons of accumulated hatred and hunger unable to withstand the combined force of harmonious minds. The victory celebration lasted for weeks as species throughout the galaxy rejoiced in their survival and new unity. But the real celebration was quieter and more personal. Individuals who had transcended their original limitations while still remaining true to themselves. Lisa stood in the observation deck of her ship, looking out at the mobile habitats that had become the seeds of a new galactic civilization. Children played in parks that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Artists created beauty that could only be perceived by minds that had experienced consciousness linking. Scientists made discoveries that single-species thinking could never achieve. "We did it," Tavara said, joining her at the viewport. After months of consciousness linking, they barely needed words to communicate, but speech still had its own special intimacy. "We did," Lisa agreed. "But more importantly, we became something new in the process." Nova Starborn had been elected as the first president of the new Galactic Concord. She represented the generation that would never know the old barriers between species. Under her leadership, the mobile habitats spread throughout the galaxy, carrying the seeds of unified civilization to every star system. The ancient fleet had become the backbone of a new kind of society. Ships that required cooperation to function. Technology that responded to trust and understanding. Cities that could house any form of life in harmony. "The moment that shaped us," Lisa mused, as she watched a group of mixed-species children learning to operate a dimensional gateway through cooperative effort. It wasn't just the battle. It was choosing to become more than we were. The Harmony's voice echoed through the ship with contentment and hope. "The Stellar Concord is reborn, but better than before. You have learned what we could not. That unity doesn't require uniformity. That cooperation makes everyone stronger." Years later, as the mobile habitats spread to distant galaxies and new species joined the ever-growing alliance, historians would mark this as the moment when galactic civilization truly began, not with conquest or domination, but with the simple recognition that different minds working together could achieve the impossible. Lisa remained herself, but was also more than herself, human, but also galactic, individual, but also part of something infinite and wonderful. She had found an abandoned fleet in space, and it had changed everything. The stars themselves seemed to sing with the harmony of unified life as the galactic concord grew and flourished, carrying the light of cooperation into the darkness between worlds.